How many of you watch the news or listen to it on the radio? Think of those times where they're airing 911 calls and how you hear that person in distress and panic screaming at the top of their lungs for help. Now I want you to think of a time where you'd have to call 911. You make that call and the dispatcher starts asking you questions, and all you're doing is begging and pleading for someone to come help you. Now how would you feel if that was your 911 call being aired on the news? I know I wouldn't like it, and if you feel the same way too, then placing restrictions on 911 calls is what needs to happen. Today I'd like to share with you how the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, or HIPAA, rights may be violated, how personal information may be released, and other alternative options to releasing 911 calls as public record. Let's begin with how HIPAA rights may be violated. According to the Health Information Privacy article as found in hhs.gov, HIPAA privacy rules provide federal protection for all personal health information. Furthermore, these series of rules provide administrative, technical, and physical safeguards to protect the confidentiality and integrity of a person's personal medical information. So when you're calling 911 and it's a medical emergency, the dispatcher is going to ask for any medical information to assist in the call. Medical history, current medications, as well as the medical concerns going on at the time. All that information is recorded down and made public record. So a person that has enough information on the call can walk in to public records and be able to receive a transcript or a recording of that call. Within that call, they're able to have all that medical information the dispatcher requires. And someone other than a physician or a doctor having that information may constitute the violation of the HIPAA rights. According to and into 911 call replays, as found in CNN.com, Ohio Senator Thomas Patton believes that airing actual 911 calls may constitute a violation of medical privacy information. So now that you know how HIPAA rights may be violated, I'd like to tell you how personal information may be released on 911 calls. According to the state law relating to confidentiality, as found in ncsl.org, members of the media and private citizens of the public may be able to receive or have the right to receive 911 transcripts or recordings. Within those recordings, they would get the medical health information as well as personal information. So without having any restrictions on these, and like I said in my first main point, a person can walk in and receive the transcripts of a 911 call. And in those transcripts, it would have the address of the caller and phone numbers. According to Callers Need Protection from Retaliation editorial as found in the hunterreport.com, criminals are using these resources now to call, harass, intimidate neighbors from discouraging them from calling 911 on situations. Furthermore, callers may not even know these calls are public record. According to Callers Need Protection from Retaliation editorial as found in the hunterreport.com, a woman in North Carolina calls 911 after finding her daughter beaten to death. Later on that day, that woman hears her call airing on the news, and she became pretty sick. She felt that this call should have been private and not a public matter. Now that you can see how personal information is released through 911 calls, I'd like to share you some alternative options as to 911 calls being public record. According to Callers Need Protection from Retaliation article as found in thehunterreport.com, a woman calls 911 to report a domestic dispute at a neighbor's house. After a few weeks go by, the neighbor comes by and tells her how he listened to the 911 call. Although nothing happened, but it could have been avoided. Furthermore, in that article, it states that 911 calls are one of the most traumatic or stressful situations a person may face. So with all that in mind, what are some states doing to protect the privacy of the callers? Well, in Alabama Code 1198.12 has been in place to a person calling 911 that these records won't be released unless there's a court order, and that court order's got to have the findings that these release of records will be in the best interest of the public versus the privacy of the caller. Also in Tennessee, they're trying to pass the Caller Protection Act, and this act is to protect the public safety and dignity of a caller. According to the Caller Needs Protection from Retaliation editorial as found in thehunterreport.com, this act is going to leave it up to the caller to determine whether this call needs to be public record or be confidential. So as you can see, some of the states are protecting personal private information, whether it's for HIPAA rights or personal information rights. So as you can see now, how some other options to 911 calls being public record. I'd like to recover the topics I talked to you today about why 911 calls need to be confidential. Today I told you about how HIPAA rights may be violated. I also shared with you information on how personal information may be released as public record and other alternative options to 911 calls being released as public record. Now I ask you again, how would you feel if that was your call being aired on the news? I hope you can agree with me that 911 calls should be a private matter and not be released to the public. Thank you.